Have you ever tried to learn to sing harmonies and found the whole experience a little bit confusing? You don't know if you need to study harder, you don't know if you have pitch issues, you find that it's a little bit hard to stay on your lane and not sing the melody that maybe your partner is singing. So if you have found the experience of singing harmony a little bit confusing, a little bit hard, then well, first off, you're not alone. And second of all, there's a way to go about it that can make things a lot clearer. So today we're going to discuss that. In this video, we're going to break down what actually makes harmonies difficult, and more importantly, how to practice them in a way that really works. If you're new to this channel, hi, I'm Jimena Cabrera. I am a singer, a songwriter, a vocal coach, and the founder of the Singing Panda, a singing academy where we help you develop your voice holistically, that is mentally, emotionally, and technically. I've had the experience of singing harmonies in a variety of contexts. I have sung in choirs, I have sung in jazz ensembles, I have had the chance to sing backing vocals for other singers, I have recorded harmonies and created actually my own harmonies and recorded them in my own songs, and I have trained students to sing harmonies in their own songs for their own projects. So I know that when you experience difficulty singing harmonies, it can be for a variety of reasons. It's often a combination of technical challenges, ear training, lack of experience singing in ensembles, insufficient study, or ineffective practice strategies. In this video, we're going to focus on one of the most impactful ones, that is how to practice. And you're going to see how by having a strategy when it comes to practicing harmonies, it can dramatically improve your results. Core principle number 1, know the harmony like it's the lead. How can you really tell if you really know your part? Well, if you can sing the melody as if it were the lead melody in a song, then that means that the melody is fully internalized. If you find yourself hesitating, then that means that most likely when you're singing with other singers, you will not find it very easy to stay in your lane. So make sure that you can sing the melody as if it were the main melody in a song. Core principle number 2, learn intervals, not isolated notes. An interval is the distance between two notes. So sometimes it happens that when you are singing your melody, there's a gap or there's a silence in your line. And so it's kind of hard. It's very easy to get lost if you don't have any sort of reference of where you're supposed to go after the gap in the silence. Now I'm going to give you an example to make this clearer. So in that case, what makes sense is to study the interval, this distance between these two notes, so that you feel like you have something to hold on to. Let me show you an example with a song. I'm going to show you part of a song. The song is by Teddy Swims, and he is singing with Maren. And it's a beautiful song, really. If you haven't had the chance to listen to the whole song, please go and check it out. It's beautiful. And so they are singing together. I wanted to pay attention to the female singer, to Maren. She is singing harmonies in this song. And you're going to notice a few things. We're going to pay attention to a few things, but in this case, as an example of what I was telling you about, let's pay attention to the intervals in her melody, and let's try to see how by learning the intervals, it will be easier to learn this part, okay? I'm gonna play it for you right now. Let me look for it. Here it goes. But some things are too hard to reconcile. Listen to this. When I look into your eyes, there's no answers I can find. It's a feeling that I've never known. So the interval I'm referring to is between I's and there's. Let me sing the melody that Maren is singing for you so that it is clearer. And in this case, we're going to take an interval, the interval between these two lines. So the interval between I's and there's, right? And you're going to see that in case this were to be, if you found this challenging, then the way in which you practice this is by repeating the same interval over and over again, just those two notes, so that they feel the second note, the note in there's, feels like the next logical step, that you don't have to think about it much, right? So let's listen again. Some When I look into your eyes, there's eyes, there's forever and ever until this feels very normal. So you loop that part and you pay attention to the distance between those two notes. You practice this interval until it feels like the most natural thing, like the lead actually. Practice strategy. This is one of the best pieces of advice that anyone can give you. This is useful for learning songs in general, for learning to sing any melody, and for learning to sing harmonies as well. So when you're practicing your songs, when you're practicing, in this case, harmonies, one very common mistake, I'm gonna call it, something that we tend to do at the beginning when we are beginners, is that we tend to go from beginning to end. And I see this all the time, that when we're practicing songs, you start the song, right? In this case, for example, you start with your part and then you go straight until the end. So you repeat the whole cycle over and over again. It's more efficient if you just loop. First of all, you find the parts that are most challenging, which is usually where you find yourself hesitating, and then you just loop those parts. So this is very, very useful for learning, like I said, any skill, and in particular, in this case, singing, and in particular, singing harmonies. This is how your voice learns to respond automatically. Loop small, difficult sections. Practice 2 to 4 bars repeatedly. Build muscle memory step by step. One possible sign you don't know your part. One possible sign that you don't yet know your part is that you tend to use slides. So that means that instead of going straight to the note that you have to sing, you use a compensation strategy. You kind of like try to buy time, so you don't land directly on the note. And so if this is happening, that just means that you need to repeat more to build muscle memory, so that the next note that you have to sing feels logical for you, like the logical next step, and not something that you have to search for. So let me give you an example. In the example of the Teddy Swims song that we were using a slide would sound like, when I look, I'm exaggerating obviously, but that would mean buying time, right? Instead of going to the note that you have to sing, then you would add a slide there. You'd be kind of like searching for the note, and you really cannot afford, in most cases, to use slides if they are no part really of the melody that you're singing, because you're singing with others. So whatever you do affects how others also will sound. So be mindful of what's happening when you're learning your song. If you find yourself trying to use these compensation strategies, then that just means that you need more time and more practice. Let's go back now to the Teddy Swims song, and let's see how Maren goes straight to the note. She's not using a slide. And this part can potentially be challenging because she has to hit that note without hesitation. So you can allow yourself to use a slide if it's not required by the melody, right? So listen. So she goes straight to the note that she needs to hit. And so that is a sign, remember, that if you're not able to, if you find yourself in the need of a few more seconds to think the note, so that in that case, that just means that you need more repetition. So whenever these compensation strategies appear, then that just means that you need more practice, basically. Role awareness, your function in the ensemble. I'm probably stating the obvious here, but simply know that if you're singing backing vocals, then that means that you do not have the same level of flexibility as the lead singer, for example, in a song. That means that, for example, you cannot afford to sing a slide if the lead singer is not doing it. In a way, you are the lead's shadow. Your role is to support the structure, to follow the rhythmic and melodic pattern you've been given. Practice strategy. Practice in context. One thing that I always emphasize is that when you practice, you need to do so along with music. So do not ever practice singing harmonies a cappella, because then you have no framework of reference and you could be singing in a different, in different key altogether, or you might be in the right key, but the pitch may differ slightly. And so what you're doing is you're building muscle memory. So it needs to be accurate every time. So remember, always singing with the track when you're learning harmonies or singing along with other singers. When you practice harmonies alone, without context, a few things can happen. Pitch drifting, inaccurate intervals, and muscle memory that doesn't match the real situation. Deeper layer, what harmonies teach you. One beautiful thing about singing harmonies is singing with others, being part of something bigger while staying in your lane. So co-creating with others, but also staying true to your own voice. And that is a skill that we need in other areas of our life, right? On a deeper level, singing harmonies is not just about singing the right notes. It's about finding balance. It's about learning how to move with other voices without losing yourself in the soup of sound. Reality check. As with any other aspect of singing, you know that this is a process and it is supposed to take time. So there is a complexity to what you're doing when you're learning harmonies. So there's nothing that you're doing wrong if you feel that it's taking time. It's just that there is a complexity to it, and this is just part of the process. Just know that. So a simple way to approach this could be warm up your voice, practice difficult sections in loops, work on intervals between notes, practice with the music, not alone, practice with real voices if possible, record yourself and refine. To recap, today we explored why harmonies feel difficult, how practice strategy impacts your results, how to internalize your part, and how to build muscle memory effectively. I'm curious to know, what do you find most challenging when you're learning harmonies? Staying on your part, remembering the notes, or hearing your line clearly? Tell me in the comments. If you're curious to know how you personally tend to approach challenges as a singer, I'm going to leave in the description box below a link to a fun personality quiz that reveals your vocal spirit animal. So if you want, you can give it a try. And as I always tell you, if you found this video useful, please like the video, subscribe, and comment as well. And turn on the notifications so you don't miss the next videos coming up every Friday. So for now, happy singing, everyone!